The recording plays through the speaker of Minho Shin's phone, and his entire empire stops breathing. Please, please just let me go. I haven't done anything wrong. That voice. Minho's hand freezes mid-signature over a contract worth $47 million. His pen hovers above the paper, suspended in air, as every muscle in his body turns to stone. He knows that voice better than he knows his own heartbeat. He has heard it whisper his name in the darkness. He has heard it laugh at his terrible jokes. He has heard it say goodbye 18 months ago, and he has replayed that final conversation in his head every single night since. Olivia Carter. The woman who walked out of his life and took every bit of warmth with her. The woman he has not stopped thinking about for 547 days. The woman he forced himself to let go because he convinced himself she deserved better than a man like him. Now her voice is trembling through his phone's speaker, filled with a fear that makes something inside Minho crack wide open. I don't know what you want from me. I'm just a nurse. I don't have any money. Please, you have the wrong person. Minho is sitting in his executive office on the 62nd floor of Shin Industries Tower in Beverly Hills, California. The floor-to-ceiling windows behind him showcase a panoramic view of the city, a kingdom of glass and steel that his family has spent 3 generations building. 4 of his most trusted men sit across from him at the long mahogany conference table. They were discussing a major real estate acquisition in Manhattan, a deal that would expand Shin Industries' reach to the East Coast. None of that matters anymore. His second-in-command, Yi-sun Park, notices the change in Minho's expression first. He has worked for the Shin family for 15 years. He has seen Minho negotiate billion-dollar deals without blinking. He has seen him face down hostile takeovers with the calm of a man discussing the weather. He has never, not once, seen Minho look like this. Like the ground has just disappeared beneath his feet. A distorted male voice comes through the phone next, mechanical and cold. Mr. Shin, I hope you're listening carefully. You have 48 hours, $50 million. Transfer the money to the account we'll send you, and the pretty nurse goes home safely. Fail to pay, try to involve the police, or attempt anything clever, and she dies. Slowly, painfully. We know she meant something to you once. Maybe she still does. I guess we're about to find out. The line goes dead. Silence fills the room like poison gas. Minho doesn't move. His men don't breathe. The only sound is the soft hum of the climate control system and the distant muffled noise of traffic 62 floors below. Then Minho sets his phone down on the table with exaggerated care. His movements are slow and deliberate, like a man trying very hard not to shatter. He stands. Every man in that room instinctively leans back. They have worked for Minho Shin for years. They have seen him cold, calculating, methodical. They have seen him destroy competitors through sheer strategic brilliance. They have seen him remain perfectly composed while men twice his age crumbled under pressure. They have never seen him like this. His jaw is clenched so tight that a vein pulses visibly in his neck. His dark eyes have gone completely flat, empty of everything except something that looks terrifyingly close to violence. His hands hang at his sides, but his fingers are curled into fists so tight his knuckles have turned white. Find her. His voice is barely above a whisper. It carries more threat than any scream ever could. Sir, Yi-sun begins carefully, we need to assess the situation. We need to trace the call, analyze the recording, determine if this is legitimate or some kind of. Find her. Minho turns to face Yi-sun directly, and the older man actually takes a step backward. I don't care what it costs. I don't care what resources it takes. I don't care if you have to wake up every contact we have on 3 continents. You have 12 hours to bring me her location. 12 hours, Yi-sun, not a minute more. And if we can't, then I will personally dismantle everyone in this city who has ever crossed me until someone talks. Minho walks to the window and stares out at the glittering expanse of Los Angeles. His reflection in the glass is a stranger, dark and hollow-eyed. 18 months ago, Olivia Carter was a pediatric nurse at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. She had warm brown skin, natural hair she usually wore in protective styles, and a smile that could light up an entire hospital ward. Min-ho met her when his younger sister, Soo-jin, was hospitalized after a serious car accident. Soo-jin had been terrified, crying for her brother, refusing to let the doctors near her. And then this nurse had walked in, calm and gentle, and somehow convinced Soo-jin to let them treat her. By the time Min-ho arrived, his sister was sleeping peacefully, and Olivia Carter was adjusting her IV drip while humming a soft melody. That was the first time Min-ho felt something shift inside him. Olivia treated him like a normal person, not like a billionaire whose family name made powerful people nervous. She challenged him when he tried to throw money at problems. She laughed at his attempts to impress her. She told him no more often than anyone had in his entire adult life. He fell in love with her faster than he thought possible. And she left him because she said his world was too dark, too complicated, too dangerous. She said she couldn't compete with an empire. She said she was losing herself in his shadow. He let her walk away because part of him believed she was right. He loved her enough to let her go. Now someone has taken her. Someone has put their hands on her. Someone has made her voice shake with fear. And Min-ho Shin is about to show Lo's angels exactly why his family name makes powerful men lose sleep at night. "Get Derek Tate on the phone," Min-ho says without turning from the window. "Wake him up if he's sleeping. I want his entire team mobilized within the hour." "Derek retired 6 months ago, sir." "Then offer him whatever it takes to bring him back. I don't care if it's $10 million. I don't care if it's 20. Get him." Yi-sun nods and pulls out his phone, already dialing. Min-ho picks up his own phone and plays the recording again. Olivia's voice fills the room once more, trembling and afraid. Please just let me go." He closes his eyes. 18 months. He gave her 18 months of space. He respected her wishes. He stayed away even though every instinct screamed at him to fight for her, to chase her, to refuse to let her go. And now she's tied up somewhere, terrified, because of him. Because someone wanted to hurt him and decided to use the woman he loves as a weapon. He plays the recording a third time. Then a fourth. Each time, his expression grows darker. His composure, the icy control he has maintained for years, begins to crack. "Boss," Yi-sun says slowly, approaching with caution, "you haven't spoken to her in over a year. Are you sure you want to get personally involved in this? We can handle the situation. We can pay the ransom, get her back safely, and you never have to." "She's mine." The words come out low and dangerous, cutting Yi-sun off mid-sentence. "She was always mine. I just let her forget it." Min-ho turns to face his men, and something has shifted in his demeanor. The shock has transformed into something harder, colder, more focused. "Wake up every contact we have. Activate every resource. I don't care if it costs me $100 million. I don't care if I have to call in every favor this family has accumulated over 3 generations. I want to know who took her, where they're keeping her, and I want that information yesterday." He pauses, and something terrifying flashes across his face. "And when I find them, they're going to wish they had never learned Olivia Carter's name." The men scatter to their tasks immediately. Min-ho remains at the window, staring at his own reflection. Somewhere out there, Olivia is waiting, scared, alone. But not for long. He's coming for her. And heaven help anyone who stands in his way. Now here's the question for you. If you were Olivia, and you found out Min-ho Shin was coming for you, would you feel rescued or even more terrified? Think about that. Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, do well to subscribe and like the video as well. Now let's continue. Olivia Carter wakes up with her wrists bound and her head pounding. The last thing she remembers is leaving her apartment building in Palo Alto after finishing a double shift at Stanford Children's Hospital. It was late, almost midnight. She was tired. She remembers fumbling for her car keys, remembers the parking garage being unusually empty, remembers the sudden sharp pain at the back of her head. Then nothing. Now she's here. Wherever here is. She forces her eyes to focus, fighting through the fog of what she suspects is some kind of sedative. The room slowly comes into view. Concrete walls, industrial ceiling, a single bare bulb hanging from a wire overhead. The air is cold and damp, carrying the faint smell of rust and old machinery. A basement. She's in a basement somewhere. Her nursing training kicks in automatically. She does a quick assessment of her own body without moving too obviously. Her head hurts, probably a mild concussion from whatever they used to knock her out. Her wrists are tied in front of her with zip ties, tight but not cutting off circulation. Her ankles are free. No obvious injuries besides the headache. Small mercies. Two men sit about 15 feet away, playing cards at a folding table. They're dressed casually, jeans and dark jackets, and they glance at her occasionally with the bored expressions of people doing a job they find tedious. Professionals, she realizes. These aren't desperate criminals or amateurs. They're organized, careful, methodical. That scares her more than anything else. She tests her bindings subtly, exploring the zip ties with her fingers. They're secure. She won't be able to slip out of them without tools. She's awake, one of the men says without looking up from his cards. The other one, older with a shaved head, sets down his hand and stands. He walks over to Olivia and crouches in front of her, studying her face with detached interest. "Welcome back, sweetheart. How's your head?" Olivia meets his gaze steadily. "It hurts. Whatever you gave me, the dosage was too high for my body weight. You're lucky I don't have a more serious reaction." The man's eyebrows rise slightly. "Got some medical knowledge, do we?" "I'm a nurse, and you clearly have no idea what you're doing." A flicker of irritation crosses his face, but he controls it. "Mouthy, he warned us about that." "Who warned you? Why am I here?" The man smiles without warmth. "You're here because your ex-boyfriend is very, very rich, and apparently he used to care about you a lot. Let's hope he still does." Olivia's blood runs cold. Minho. This is about Minho. She hasn't spoken to him in 18 months. She changed her number. She moved cities. She blocked every memory of him because that was the only way she could survive leaving him. When she walked away from Minho Shin, she didn't just leave a relationship. She left an entire world. A world of private jets and penthouse apartments and security details. A world where people whispered his name with a mixture of respect and fear. A world where she never quite felt like she belonged, no matter how much he tried to make her comfortable. She left because she was losing herself. Because she looked in the mirror one day and didn't recognize the woman staring back at her, draped in designer clothes and attending exclusive events, smiling politely at people who only spoke to her because of who she was dating. She left because she loved him so much it was consuming her. And now that world has found her anyway. "We're not together anymore," she says quickly, keeping her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "He won't pay. It's been almost 2 years. He's moved on." The younger guard laughs from his seat at the table. "That's not what our research shows. The man hasn't dated anyone since you left. His own sister told a friend at some party that he still keeps your photo in his wallet. A billionaire Korean businessman carrying around a picture of his ex like a lovesick teenager." He shrugs. "We're betting he'll pay." Olivia's heart clenches painfully. She didn't know that. She had no idea he still thought about her. She convinced herself that he had moved on, found someone better, someone who fit into his world properly. The thought that he's been alone all this time, that he kept her photo, that he never stopped. She pushes those feelings down. They won't help her right now. "What do you want?" she asks. $50 million, 48 hours, simple enough. 50 million. Olivia almost laughs despite her terror. "Do you have any idea how insane that sounds? That's not ransom money, that's revenge money." The older guard's expression flickers, just for a moment, but Olivia catches it. "This isn't just about money," she says slowly, her mind racing. "Someone has a grudge against Minho, don't they? Someone wants to hurt him through me." Neither guard responds. but their silence tells her everything. She files that information away. "Can I at least get some water?" she asks, deliberately softening her voice. "I'm dehydrated from whatever you drugged me with. If you want me alive for the exchange, you need to keep me hydrated." The older guard studies her for a moment, then nods to the younger one. "Get her some water." As the younger man moves to comply, Olivia's mind is already working. She thinks about Minho receiving that ransom call. She thinks about his face when he heard her voice on the recording. She knows him. She knows him better than anyone. He won't just pay the ransom and wait. That's not who he is. Minho Shin will burn down the entire city to find her. The question is whether that terrifies her or gives her hope. She remembers the first time she met him, really met him, beyond the professional interaction of nurse and worried family member. It was 2 days after his sister's accident. Sujin was recovering well, and Olivia was working a late shift, grabbing a quick coffee in the hospital cafeteria. Minho appeared next to her in line like a ghost. She didn't hear him approach. One moment she was alone, and the next moment there was this impossibly handsome man in a suit that probably cost more than her annual salary, looking at her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "You were kind to my sister," he said without preamble. Olivia nearly spilled her coffee. "Excuse me." "My sister, Sujin. You sat with her when she was afraid, you sang to her." Olivia felt heat rise to her cheeks. She hadn't realized anyone was watching during those quiet moments with Sujin. "That's literally my job. Taking care of patients includes emotional support." "Most people are nervous around my family," he continued, as if she hadn't spoken. "They treat us differently, but you treated Sujin like she was just a scared 19-year-old girl, not a Shin." "That's because she is just a scared 19-year-old girl. Money doesn't change how scary it is to wake up in a hospital after a car accident." Something shifted in Minho's expression, a crack in the armor of corporate coldness. "What's your name?" "Olivia Carter." "Olivia," he said it slowly, testing the syllables, and something about the way her name sounded in his voice made her stomach flip. "I'm going to take you to dinner." She raised an eyebrow. "You're going to ask me to dinner, and I'm going to say no because I don't date patients' family members. My sister is being discharged tomorrow. After that, I won't be a patient's family member. Then ask me again after she's discharged." She expected him to argue. Men like him, men with that much power and wealth, usually didn't accept no for an answer. Instead, he smiled. It transformed his entire face, softening the sharp angles and making him look almost boyish. "I'll be here at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening," he said. "Cafeteria, same spot." And then he walked away, leaving Olivia staring after him with her heart beating much too fast. She should have said no the next day, too. She knew who he was by then. Everyone in that hospital knew the Shin family name. They were old money from South Korea, their empire spanning real estate, technology, and finance across 3 continents. Minho himself had been featured in Forbes multiple times, always described with words like ruthless and brilliant and untouchable. But when he showed up at 6 o'clock, exactly as promised, holding a single white rose and actually asking, if she would please have dinner with him, she said yes. That was her first mistake. Falling in love with him was her second. Now, sitting in this cold basement with her wrists bound, Olivia wonders if she's about to pay for those mistakes with her life. The younger guard returns with a bottle of water and hands it to her awkwardly, since her hands are tied. "Thank you," she says quietly. He looks away, uncomfortable. Good, that's something she can work with. Because Olivia Carter didn't survive growing up in Oakland, didn't put herself through nursing school, didn't build a career based on caring for sick children by being weak. She's scared, terrified actually. But she's not helpless. And she's not giving up. Within 3 hours of receiving the ransom call, Minho has transformed his Beverly Hills headquarters into a war room. The conference room on the 62nd floor now looks like something out of a spy thriller. Multiple screens display maps, phone records, and surveillance footage. A team of analysts works at hastily assembled computer stations, tracking down every digital trace of the phone call. Security personnel move in and out with updates, their faces grim with the weight of the task. Derek Tate arrives at 2 in the morning, looking like he just rolled out of bed, which he did. The former military intelligence officer had been enjoying his retirement in San Diego, spending his days fishing and his evenings not worrying about security threats. One phone call from Minho changed that. Derek is in his early 50s, with silver-streaked hair and the kind of calm that only comes from decades of experience in high-pressure situations. He surveys the chaos of the conference room with practiced efficiency. "All right," he says, his voice cutting through the noise. "Someone tell me what we know." Yi-sun steps forward with a tablet. The phone call came from a burner phone, as expected. We traced the cell tower ping to the Oakland area, but that's a wide range. We're narrowing it down. "Oakland," Derek's eyebrows rise. "That's where your girl grew up, isn't it?" Minho's jaw tightens. "She's not my girl anymore." "Right, that's why you called me out of retirement and offered me more money than I made in the last 5 years combined." Derek shakes his head. "Let's not waste time on semantics. The girl clearly matters to you. That's why we're here." Minho doesn't respond. He doesn't have to. "What do we know about who might have done this?" Derek continues. "We're working through the list of potential enemies," Yi-sun says. "The Shin family has accumulated plenty over the years. Business rivals, companies they've acquired, individuals who lost out on deals. That list has to be dozens of names long. Hundreds, actually." Derek whistles low. "Wonderful. Okay, let's approach this differently. This isn't a random kidnapping. These guys knew about the relationship between Minho and Olivia, which means they did their research. They knew where she worked, where she lived, her schedule. This was planned. Someone specific has a grudge specific enough to go after an ex-girlfriend from almost 2 years ago." He turns to face Minho directly. "Think, who have you crossed recently who might be desperate enough or angry enough to try something like this?" Minho's mind races through recent business dealings. Acquisitions that went hostile, negotiations that turned ugly, competitors he outmaneuvered. "There was a development deal in San Francisco about 3 years ago," he says slowly. "A major waterfront property. We were competing against a firm called Cole Development. It was a bitter fight. We won, they didn't take it well." "How badly did they not take it?" "The owner's brother, a man named Raymond Cole, had leveraged everything on winning that bid. When he lost, his company went bankrupt within 6 months. He blamed us, made threats, said we would pay someday." Derek and Yi-sun exchange glances. "What happened to Raymond Cole?" Derek asks. "Last I heard, he was struggling to rebuild. His brother Vincent was helping him, trying to put together new ventures. They've been off our radar for a while." "Vincent Cole." Derek pulls out his phone and starts typing. "Let's see what Mr. Vincent Cole has been up to lately." While Derek works his contacts, Minho walks to the window again. The city lights blur below him, thousands of lives continuing normally while his own has ground to a halt. He remembers the night Olivia left him. They were in his penthouse after attending some charity event. She was wearing a green dress that made her brown skin glow, and she had never looked more beautiful. But there was something wrong in her eyes, a distance he had been noticing for weeks. "I can't do this anymore," she said quietly. Minho felt his heart stop. "Can't do what?" This life." She gestured around at the penthouse, the artwork, the obvious wealth. "I'm losing myself, Minho. I look in the mirror and I don't know who I am anymore." "You're Olivia Carter. You're a nurse. You're the kindest person I've ever met. You're the woman I love." "I was those things before, but now," she shook her head. "I went to coffee with my friends last week, my old friends from nursing school, and they looked at me like I was a stranger. They asked about you, about your family, about the private jets and the expensive restaurants. They didn't ask about me. They didn't ask about my work or my patients or my life, because I don't have a life anymore. I have your life. I'm just in it." Minho wanted to argue. He wanted to tell her she was wrong, that she was still herself, that nothing had changed. But he couldn't, because he had seen it too. The way she had gradually pulled back from her own world to exist in his. The way she had stopped talking about her patients, her coworkers, her dreams. The way she smiled politely at his business associates instead of challenging them the way she used to challenge him. He had watched her dim, and he hadn't known how to stop it. "I need space," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I need to figure out who I am without you. Olivia, please, we can fix this. We can find a balance. You can go back to your normal life. I won't ask you to attend any more events, any more parties. We can be normal." "Can we?" She looked at him with so much sadness it physically hurt. "You're Minho Shin. You can't be normal. And as long as I'm with you, I can't be either." She left that night with a single suitcase. Minho didn't stop her. Not because he didn't want to, but because he loved her enough to believe she deserved the chance to find out. He spent the next 18 months regretting that decision. "Boss," Derek's voice cuts through his memories. "We've got something." Minho turns. "Vincent Cole," Derek continues, pulling up information on one of the screens. "He's been quietly building a network over the past 2 years, recruiting muscle, establishing connections, moving money around. Nothing overtly illegal that we can prove, but definitely suspicious. And here's the interesting part. 3 weeks ago, he was spotted in Palo Alto, same city where Olivia has been working." Minho's hands clench into fists. He was scouting her. "Looks that way. He must have been watching her, learning her schedule, waiting for the right moment." "Do we know where he operates out of?" "Our contacts suggest he's based out of Oakland. Has some properties there, including a couple of warehouses near the port." "Oakland, where Olivia grew up, where her family still lives. They took her back to her hometown." "They're sending a message," Minho says quietly. "They want me to know they can reach anyone I care about anywhere." "Then let's send a message back." Derek's expression is grim. "I can have a team ready to move in 6 hours. We'll find the exact location, surveil it, and plan an extraction." 6 hours is too long. She's been in their hands for nearly 10 hours already. Every minute she's with them is a minute something could go wrong. Rushing in without proper intelligence is how people get killed, including the hostage. I know you want her back now, but you have to trust me. 6 hours to do this right. Minho wants to argue. Every cell in his body is screaming at him to move, to act, to find her now. But Derek is right. Recklessness could get Olivia killed. 6 hours, Minho says finally. Not a minute more. Understood. Derek turns to start coordinating with the team. Minho pulls out his phone and looks at the background image. It's a photo of Olivia, taken on a beach in Malibu almost 2 years ago. She's laughing at something he said, her head thrown back, her eyes crinkled with joy. He kept the photo because it reminds him of what happiness feels like. "I'm coming," he whispers to the image. "Hold on, Olivia, I'm coming." 20 hours into her captivity, Olivia is doing what she does best, surviving. She has been a nurse for 8 years. She has worked in emergency rooms where trauma victims arrived by the dozen. She has held the hands of dying children and delivered devastating news to parents. She has remained calm in situations that would break most people. This is just another crisis. She tells herself that over and over. She has been observing her captors carefully, cataloging every detail that might be useful. There are 5 men total. 2 guard her at all times, rotating in shifts. One seems to be handling communications, constantly on his phone and laptop. 2 others come and go, running errands she can only guess at. The 2 regular guards are the ones she sees most. The older one with the shaved head, whose name she has learned is Marco, is clearly experienced. He watches her with professional detachment, never letting his guard down. The younger one is different. His name is Tyler, and he's maybe 23 at most. He's nervous, constantly checking his phone, fidgeting with his hands. When he looks at Olivia, there's something that might be guilt in his eyes. She files this information away. On the morning of her second day in captivity, Tyler brings her breakfast. It's fast food, some kind of breakfast sandwich that's gone cold and rubbery. But she thanks him anyway. "You don't have to be nice to me," Tyler says, not meeting her eyes. "I know what we're doing is messed up." "Then why are you doing it?" He shrugs uncomfortably. "I owe people money, bad people. Vincent said if I helped with this job, he'd clear my debt. It was supposed to be easy. Grab you, hold you for a couple days, get paid, go home. And now I'm realizing that pissing off a guy like Minho Shin probably wasn't the smartest move I've ever made." Olivia sees her opening. "You know he's going to come for me, right?" she says softly, not threatening, just stating a fact. "And when he does, it won't just be him. It'll be everything he has. Private security, investigators, lawyers. These are not people who negotiate, Tyler. They eliminate problems." Tyler's face pales slightly. "I'm not trying to scare you," Olivia continues. "I'm trying to help you. Walk away now while you still can. Tell the police what you know. Turn yourself in before this goes any further. Because when Minho gets here, and he will get here, Vincent is going to be the only one who pays, unless you're standing next to him." Tyler stares at her for a long moment. Then Marco calls him back to the card table, and the moment is broken. But Olivia sees the seed she's planted. Tyler looks at his phone more nervously now. He keeps glancing toward the stairs that lead out of the basement. She's not just waiting to be rescued. She's working every angle she has. Later that afternoon, a new man descends into the basement. This one is different from the others. He's wearing an expensive suit, his shoes are polished, and he carries himself with the confidence of someone who believes he's the smartest person in any room. Vincent Cole. He's handsome in a sharp, predatory way, with slicked-back dark hair and eyes that calculate everything they see. He looks at Olivia the way a collector might look at a prized acquisition. "So you're the woman who tamed Minho Shin," he says, circling her chair. "I have to admit I'm not impressed. I expected someone more impressive." Olivia meets his gaze without flinching. "And you must be Vincent Cole, the man who couldn't beat Minho in business, so now he's resorting to kidnapping women. How brave of you." Vincent's smirk falters for just a second. "I hear your brother's company went bankrupt after that San Francisco deal," Olivia continues. "That must have been embarrassing. A whole family legacy destroyed because you weren't good enough to compete with a Shin. Is that why you're doing this? Because you couldn't win fairly?" Vincent's expression darkens. He stops circling and stands directly in front of her. "You should be careful how you speak to me," he says quietly. "You're in a very vulnerable position right now." "Am I? Because from where I'm sitting, you need me alive and undamaged, or Minho won't pay. You're not actually going to hurt me, Vincent. That would defeat the entire purpose." She tilts her head. "You're not a kidnapper. You're a desperate man making a desperate move, and desperate men make mistakes." For a moment, genuine anger flashes across Vincent's face. His hand twitches like he wants to strike her. Then he laughs. It's not a pleasant sound. "I can see why he liked you. You've got fire." He leans close enough that she can smell his expensive cologne. "But here's what you don't understand, Olivia. I don't just want his money. I want him to suffer. I want him to know what it feels like to lose everything he cares about. Money, reputation, power. And you, especially you." Olivia keeps her expression neutral, but her heart is pounding. "My brother Raymond was a good man," Vincent continues. "He worked his whole life to build something, and Minho Shin crushed him like he was nothing. Do you know what happened to Raymond after the bankruptcy? He had a breakdown. Spent 6 months in a psychiatric facility. Lost his wife, his kids, everything. All because your precious Minho couldn't stand to lose one deal." "That's business. It's not personal." "It became personal when my brother tried to hang himself in a hotel room." Olivia's breath catches. Vincent straightens up, adjusting his jacket. "So yes, I want the $50 million. But more than that, I want Minho Shin to know what helplessness feels like. I want him to know that his money and his power couldn't protect the woman he loves. And after he pays, I might let you go, or I might not. I haven't decided yet." He turns and walks toward the stairs. "Sweet dreams, Olivia. You've got about 30 hours left before things get really interesting. After he leaves, Olivia sits in silence for a long time. She thinks about what Vincent said, about his brother, about suffering. She understands pain. She understands grief. She understands what it feels like to watch someone you love fall apart. But none of that justifies what Vincent is doing. And none of it changes the fact that she needs to find a way out of here before he decides she's more valuable as a weapon than as a bargaining chip. She looks at Tyler, who's staring at his phone with an expression of growing panic. "Tyler," she says softly. He looks up. "I meant what I said earlier. It's not too late for you. Help me and I'll tell them you cooperated. Min-ho is ruthless, but he's also fair. If you're on the right side when this ends, you'll be okay." Tyler's hand shakes as he sets down his phone. I need to think about it." "Think fast, you're running out of time." She lets that sink in, then closes her eyes like she's going to sleep. But she doesn't sleep. She plans. 36 hours since the kidnapping. Min-ho hasn't slept. He's barely eaten. He's running on coffee, adrenaline, and a cold fury that burns brighter with every passing hour. Derek's team has confirmed Olivia's location, a warehouse on the outskirts of Oakland, near the Port District. It's an old shipping facility that Vincent Cole acquired through a shell company 6 months ago. They've conducted surveillance, counted the guards, mapped the entrances and exits. Now they're gathered in the conference room, reviewing the extraction plan. "The warehouse has 3 access points," Derek explains, pointing to a blueprint on the screen. "Main entrance, side door, and a loading dock at the rear. They have 6 men rotating in shifts, plus Vincent Cole himself. Security is tight but not impenetrable." "What about Olivia?" Min-ho asks. "Where is she being held?" "Basement level, 1 stairway down from the main floor. 2 guards with her at all times." "Is she hurt?" Derek hesitates. "Is she hurt?" Min-ho repeats, his voice dropping dangerously. "We don't have confirmation either way. But based on the ransom demand structure, they need her alive and relatively unharmed for the exchange. If they were going to hurt her, they would have done it already and sent proof to increase pressure on you." "It's not much comfort, but it's something." "When do we move?" Min-ho asks. "Tonight, 0:30. We go in fast and quiet, neutralize the guards, extract Olivia, and get out before Vincent knows what hit him." "I'm going in with the team." Derek sighs. He's had this argument with Min-ho 3 times already. "Sir, I strongly advise against that. You're the target here. If something goes wrong and you get captured or hurt, we lose all leverage." "I'm not asking for permission. I'm going." "At least stay in the secondary position. Let my men handle the initial breach. You can come in once the situation is secure." Min-ho considers this. He doesn't like it. Every instinct is screaming at him to be the first one through that door, to see Olivia with his own eyes, to personally ensure she's safe. But he's not stupid. He knows his presence could be a liability in a tactical situation. "Fine," he says grudgingly, "but I'm on site. The moment the situation is secure, I go in." "Understood." As the team disperses to prepare, Yi-sun approaches Min-ho. "Sir, can I speak with you privately?" Min-ho nods and follows Yi-sun to a quieter corner of the room. "What is it?" Yi-sun hesitates, choosing his words carefully. "I've known you for 15 years, boss. I've seen you handle every kind of crisis imaginable. But I've never seen you like this." "Your point?" "My point is that you're emotionally compromised. That's not a criticism. It's an observation. Olivia means something to you that goes beyond normal attachment, and that scares me." Min-ho's jaw tightens. "Why does it scare you?" "Because men who are emotionally compromised make mistakes. They take unnecessary risks. They let their hearts override their heads." Yi-sun meets his gaze steadily. "I'm not asking you to stop caring about her. I'm asking you to remember that getting her out safely requires you to think clearly, not with your heart, with your head." For a long moment, neither man speaks. Then Min-ho nods slowly. "You're right, I know you're right." He runs a hand through his hair, a rare display of vulnerability. I just keep thinking about what could be happening to her right now. Every minute she's in that place is a minute of fear and uncertainty, and it's my fault. Someone targeted her because of me. It's not your fault, sir. It's Vincent Cole's fault. He made the choice to kidnap an innocent woman. He made the choice to use her as a weapon. Your only responsibility is to get her back. Minho straightens his shoulders. Some of the dangerous fire in his eyes banks, replaced by the cold calculation that made him one of the most successful businessmen of his generation. You're right, he says again. Thank you, Yi-sun, I needed to hear that. That's what I'm here for, sir. Now let's go get your girl back. Hours later, as midnight approaches, Minho sits in the back of a black SUV parked 3 blocks from the warehouse. He's dressed in dark clothing, a tactical vest strapped over his chest. He refused to stay completely out of the action. His phone buzzes. A text from Derek, team in position, ready to move on your command. Minho types back, go. And then he waits. The next 20 minutes are the longest of his life. He listens to the radio chatter as Derek's team moves in. He hears the sharp commands, the brief sounds of struggle, the confirmation codes indicating guards are down. Then Derek's voice comes through clearly. Basement secure. We have the package. She's alive. Minho is out of the SUV before the message ends. He runs the 3 blocks to the warehouse without feeling his feet touch the ground. Guards at the perimeter recognize him and let him through. He pushes past the chaos on the main floor, where zip-tied criminals are being lined up by Derek's team, and heads straight for the basement stairs. He takes them 2 at a time. And then he sees her. Olivia is sitting in a metal chair, her wrists red from the zip ties that have just been cut away. She's pale, tired, and trembling, but she's alive. She's alive. Their eyes meet across the basement, and for a moment, neither of them moves. Then Minho is crossing the room in 3 quick strides and pulling her into his arms so tightly she can barely breathe. I've got you, he whispers against her hair. I've got you, you're safe now. Olivia's control finally breaks. She buries her face against his chest and cries, 18 months of distance and denial dissolving in the relief of being held by him again. You came, she says through her tears. You actually came. Did you ever doubt it? She pulls back to look at his face, really look at him. He looks terrible, exhausted, and hollow-eyed, but he's here. He found her. No, she admits quietly. I never doubted it. Minho cups her face in his hands, wiping away her tears with his thumbs. I would burn down the entire world for you, Olivia Carter. Did you forget that? Before she can answer, a commotion erupts at the basement entrance. Vincent Cole stumbles down the stairs, hands raised, followed by 2 of Derek's men with weapons trained on him. He looks disheveled and furious, his expensive suit wrinkled, his carefully styled hair in disarray. Mr. Shin, Vincent says, his voice dripping with false cordiality. How nice of you to join us personally. I didn't expect you to get your hands dirty. Minho releases Olivia gently and turns to face Vincent. The transformation is immediate. The tender concern on his face hardens into something cold and dangerous. Vincent Cole, Minho says quietly, you made a very serious mistake. Did I? It seems to me that I got exactly what I wanted. You're here, watching me, knowing that I had the power to take something from you. Even if you get her back tonight, you'll always remember that I could reach her, that your money and your influence couldn't protect her. Minho walks toward Vincent slowly. Every step is measured, deliberate. You're right, he says. I will always remember this. I'll remember every minute Olivia spent afraid in this basement. I'll remember the sound of her voice on that recording. And I'll make sure you spend the rest of your life remembering that you chose the wrong enemy. Vincent's bravado wavers slightly. What are you going to do? Kill me? You're not that kind of man. You're a businessman, not a criminal. No, I'm not going to kill you. Minho stops directly in front of Vincent, close enough that Vincent has to tilt his head back to meet his eyes. I'm going to do something much worse. I'm going to destroy you legally, publicly, and completely. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small digital recorder. This is a recording of a conversation we had with one of your associates. Tyler, I believe his name is. He was very cooperative once my team offered him immunity in exchange for information. He told us everything, Vincent. The planning, the financing, the other investors who helped fund this operation. All of it. Vincent's face goes pale. By this time tomorrow, federal agents will have warrants for your arrest on kidnapping, extortion, and conspiracy charges. Every asset you have will be frozen. Every contact you've cultivated will distance themselves from you. Your brother Raymond? He'll have to watch his family name dragged through the mud again, this time because of your actions. Minho leans closer. You wanted me to know what it feels like to lose everything. Now you get to experience it firsthand. He steps back and nods to Derek's men. Get him out of my sight. Make sure he's processed properly. I want every charge to stick. As Vincent is led away, still protesting, Minho turns back to Olivia. The coldness melts from his face, replaced by something much softer. Let's get you out of here, he says gently. There's a medical team waiting outside. Olivia takes his offered hand and stands on shaky legs. Minho. Yes. Thank you for coming for me, for not giving up. He squeezes her hand. I never could, I never will. No matter how much time passes or how far you run. You're mine, Olivia, you always have been. She should probably argue with that. She should remind him that she left for good reasons, that nothing has changed, that they can't just pick up where they left off. But right now, standing in this cold basement after 2 days of fear, all she feels is gratitude. And something else. Something that feels a lot like coming home. The next 72 hours pass in a blur of hospital visits, police statements, and media chaos. Olivia is checked into Highland Hospital in Oakland for evaluation. Physically, she's fine, just dehydrated and exhausted with minor bruising on her wrists from the zip ties. Emotionally, she's more fragile than she wants to admit. Minho refuses to leave her side. He sits in the uncomfortable hospital chair next to her bed, fielding phone calls and issuing commands to his team, but never once leaving the room. When nurses come in to check on Olivia, he watches their every move. When doctors deliver updates, he asks detailed questions that reveal he's been reading up on post-traumatic care. Sujin flies in from Lowe's Angels the morning after the rescue. She bursts into Olivia's hospital room in tears, throwing her arms around Olivia and sobbing apologies. I'm so sorry this happened because of us, Sujin cries. If you weren't connected to our family, they never would have targeted you. Olivia hugs her back tightly. She and Sujin had become genuine friends during her relationship with Minho, 2 years older, but bonded by their outsider status in the Shin family world. It wasn't your fault, Olivia says firmly. It was Vincent Cole's fault. He made a choice, a terrible, cruel choice, but none of you are responsible for his actions. Sujin pulls back, wiping her eyes. I missed you so much when you left. I know you needed space from my brother, but I missed you. I missed you too, Sujin. I'm sorry I cut you off. Does this mean, are you and Minho going too? Sujin trails off, glancing at her brother who is pretending not to listen from his chair. I don't know, Olivia admits honestly. Right now. I'm just trying to process everything that happened. The rest, we'll figure out later. Minho doesn't push her. He doesn't ask where they stand or what this means for their relationship. He simply exists in her space, a steady presence that asks for nothing except the chance to be near her. On the 3rd day, Olivia is discharged from the hospital. The question of where she will go hangs in the air unspoken. Your apartment in Palo Alto is being watched by security, Minho says carefully. Until we're certain there are no additional threats, I'd prefer if you stayed somewhere safer. Somewhere safer meaning your penthouse. Somewhere with a full security system, 24-hour surveillance and personnel trained to handle any threat. Yes, my penthouse qualifies. Olivia hesitates. Moving into his home, even temporarily, feels like a step she's not ready for. I have a family in Oakland, she says slowly. My mother, my sister, I could stay with them. And put them at risk. If anyone associated with Vincent is still out there, going to your family's home could endanger them too. He's right, and she knows it. But the thought of being dependent on him again, of slipping back into his world. As if reading her thoughts, Minho says quietly, I'm not asking you to move in with me, Olivia. I have a guest suite on a separate floor. You would have complete privacy. This is about safety, not anything else. And if I want to leave, if I decide I want to go back to my own life, then I'll have security escort you safely to wherever you want to go. No arguments, no conditions. He meets her eyes directly. I'm not trying to trap you. I just want to know you're safe. After everything that happened, I need that peace of mind. Can you understand that? She can, she does. Okay, she says finally. The guest suite, temporarily. Relief flickers across his face before he controls it. Thank you. The first week in Minho's penthouse is awkward but bearable. True to his word, he gives her space. The guest suite is beautiful, with its own living area, bathroom, and small kitchenette. She could go days without seeing him if she wanted to. But somehow, she keeps finding reasons to venture into the common areas. They fall into an unexpected routine, morning coffee together in the main kitchen, sometimes dinner, though he's often working late. Conversations that start careful and slowly become more natural. She learns what he's been doing in the 18 months they were apart. He expanded the business, of course. But he also started a foundation focused on mental health resources for families affected by financial crisis, inspired partly by what happened to Raymond Cole's family and partly by his own father's struggles after the betrayal that nearly destroyed the company. I kept thinking about what you said, he admits one evening. About my world being too dark. I couldn't change everything, but I could try to add some light where I could. That's actually really beautiful, Minho. He shrugs, almost embarrassed. It's not enough, it will never be enough, but it's something. She learns that he hasn't dated anyone since she left. She learns that he visits his father's grave every month to talk to him. She learns that behind the cold exterior she fell in love with, there's a man who cares deeply and hurts privately and has spent his whole life trying to live up to impossible standards. And slowly, despite every wall she's tried to maintain, she feels herself falling for him all over again. 1 month after the kidnapping, Olivia knows she can't keep avoiding the conversation they need to have. She finds Minho in his home office late one evening, surrounded by paperwork and glowing computer screens. He looks up when she knocks on the doorframe, and his whole face softens in that way that still makes her heart skip. Can we talk? She asks. He closes his laptop immediately. Of course, is everything okay? She walks in and sits in the chair across from his desk. For a moment, she just looks at him, taking in the face she knows so well. The sharp jaw, the intelligent dark eyes, the way his hair falls across his forehead when he's been running his hands through it in frustration. I need to tell you why I really left, she says. The truth this time. He goes very still. Okay. Olivia takes a deep breath. I told you it was because your world was too dark, too complicated, that I was losing myself, and that was true, but it wasn't the whole truth. She pauses, gathering her thoughts. The whole truth is that I was terrified of how much I loved you. I had never felt anything that intense before. It consumed me. Every moment I wasn't with you, I was thinking about you. Every decision I made, I filtered through how it would affect our relationship. I stopped being Olivia Carter, independent woman with her own life and dreams. I became Minho Shin's girlfriend. That was my entire identity. Her voice cracks slightly. And the worst part of me was okay with that. Part of me wanted to disappear into you, to let you take care of everything, to give up all the hard parts of life and just exist in your shadow. That terrified me, because that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. Minho listens without interrupting. His expression is unreadable. So I ran, Olivia continues. I convinced myself that distance would fix everything, that if I could just get away from you, I would find myself again. And in some ways, I did. I rebuilt my career. I made new friends. I created a life that was entirely my own. And now, she looks at him directly. And now I've realized that running away didn't fix the underlying problem. The problem wasn't you or your world. The problem was me. My fear of vulnerability, my discomfort with depending on someone else, my inability to trust that love didn't have to mean losing myself. She reaches across the desk and takes his hand. I'm not saying I'm fixed. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I know I don't want to run anymore. I know that what I feel for you hasn't gone away, no matter how hard I tried to make it. And I know that if we're going to try this again, I have to be honest with you about all of it. Minho is quiet for a long moment. When he finally speaks, his voice is rough with emotion. I thought you left because I wasn't enough. Because my family's history, my reputation, the enemies that come with our name, I thought all of that made me impossible to love. No, Olivia says firmly. You were never the problem, Minho. You were always enough. Too much, actually. That's what scared me. He stands up and walks around the desk. She stands too, and they face each other in the dim light of his office. I can't promise that my world will be less complicated, he says quietly. I can't promise there won't be threats or challenges or people who want to hurt me through the ones I love. That's the reality of who I am. I know. But I can promise that I will never let you disappear into my shadow. I fell in love with Olivia Carter, the nurse who challenged me, who laughed at my attempts to impress her, who wasn't afraid to tell me when I was being an idiot. I don't want a princess in a tower. I want a partner, an equal. He takes her face in his hands. If we do this again, we do it properly. You keep your career. You keep your friends, your independence, your identity. We figure out together how to balance your world and mine. And we talk to each other when things get hard instead of running away. Olivia feels tears building behind her eyes. That sounds like a lot of work, she manages. The best things usually are. And then he kisses her. It's not like the desperate, relieved kiss in the basement after her rescue. This one is slow and deliberate, a promise and a question all at once. When they finally break apart, Olivia is smiling despite her tears. I missed you, she whispers. I missed you too, every single day. She laughs shakily. So what happens now? Now, he pulls her close against his chest. Now we start over, properly this time. First date, no expectations, no baggage from before, just you and me figuring this out. You want to date me, like go to restaurants and movies and all of that. Why not? I never got to do that with you before. Everything happened so fast, and then you were already part of my life. This time, I want to do it right. Olivia considers this. It's strange, the idea of dating someone she already knows so intimately. Someone whose body she's mapped with her hands, whose secrets she's kept, whose heart she's broken and somehow been given a second chance with. But maybe strange is exactly what they need. Okay, she says. First date, but I get to pick the restaurant. He smiles, that real smile that transforms his whole face. Deal. The next 3 months are the happiest of Olivia's life. Minho keeps his word about dating properly. They go to restaurants, not the fancy exclusive ones where everyone stares, but quiet neighborhood spots Olivia finds on Yelp. They see movies at regular theaters, sharing popcorn and debating about plot holes afterward. They walk on the beach at sunset, holding hands like teenagers. They also fight. Properly, loudly, the way they never did before because Olivia was too busy trying to fit into his world to express her real feelings. They argue about his workaholic tendencies, about her reluctance to let him help with anything, about the security team she finds suffocating and he finds essential. But they always talk it through. They always find their way back to each other. Olivia takes a position at UCLA Medical Center, returning to pediatric nursing with renewed passion. She keeps her own apartment, a small place in Santa Monica that she insists on paying for with her own salary. She visits Minho's penthouse often, sometimes staying the night, but she maintains her independence fiercely. Minho doesn't push. He understands now what she needs, and he's willing to give her space to find her own balance. 3 months into their renewed relationship, Vincent Cole's trial begins. Olivia is called as a witness. She's terrified, not of Vincent, who looks much smaller and less threatening in an orange jumpsuit, but of reliving those 46 hours in the basement, of speaking those memories out loud in front of strangers. Minho sits in the front row of the courtroom gallery every single day. When Olivia takes the stand, she looks at him and draws strength from his steady presence. She tells her story, all of it. The fear, the uncertainty, the moments when she thought she might not survive. She speaks clearly and directly, refusing to let Vincent Cole see her break. The jury convicts him on all counts. He's sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. Afterward, outside the courthouse, Olivia feels a weight lift off her shoulders that she didn't know she was carrying. "It's over," she says, almost disbelieving. "It's over," Minho agrees. "He'll never hurt anyone again." That night, for the first time, Olivia moves her things into the penthouse. Not the guest suite, his room, their room. It's a step she's been hesitant to take, a line she wasn't sure she was ready to cross. But something about watching Vincent get carried off in handcuffs, knowing he'll spend the next 2 decades paying for what he did, gives her the closure she needs. She's not running anymore. She's choosing to stay. 1 year after her rescue, Minho takes Olivia to Aspen, Colorado. He tells her it's a celebration of her 1-year anniversary of being safe, of them being together again. He books the most exclusive suite at the Little Nell, with views of the snow-covered mountains that take her breath away. What he doesn't tell her is that he's been carrying a ring in his pocket for 3 months, waiting for the perfect moment. The evening starts with dinner at Element 47, the resort's acclaimed restaurant. They eat, they laugh, they talk about everything and nothing. Minho watches Olivia's face in the candlelight and feels a contentment he never knew was possible. After dinner, he leads her to a private balcony overlooking the mountain range. The stars are impossibly bright, unmarred by city lights. Snow blankets everything in white, peaceful and pristine. "Minho," Olivia says, her breath visible in the cold air. "This is beautiful, but I'm freezing. Can we go back inside soon?" "One moment," he says. "There's something I need to say first." Something in his voice makes her turn. And then she sees him. On one knee. In his hand is a ring, a stunning emerald surrounded by diamonds in a vintage setting. He chose emerald because she once told him diamonds were too expected, too common, and emeralds reminded her of new beginnings. He remembered. Of course he remembered. "Olivia Carter," he says, and his voice is steady despite the emotion in his eyes. 18 months ago, I let you walk away because I thought you deserved better than me. Better than my complicated family, my dangerous world, my obsessive need to protect the people I love." Olivia's hand covers her mouth. Tears are already building. "But then someone took you, and I realized something that should have been obvious all along. There is no version of my life that makes sense without you in it. There is no empire worth building, no success worth achieving, no amount of money or power that means anything if I can't share it with you." He takes a shaky breath. "You make me better, Olivia. You remind me who I wanted to be before I buried that person under years of cold calculation and survival. You challenge me, you frustrate me, you refuse to let me get away with anything, and I love you more for it." He holds up the ring. "I'm not asking you to become someone else. I'm not asking you to give up your career, your independence, anything that makes you who you are. I'm asking you to let me spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you. I'm asking you to be my partner in everything, equal in every way." His voice drops to a whisper. "Will you marry me?" Olivia stares at him, at this man who flew across the country to rescue her from a basement, who waited patiently while she rebuilt her walls, who never stopped loving her even when she ran. She doesn't hesitate. "Yes." Minho slides the ring onto her finger with hands that tremble slightly. Then he's standing, pulling her into his arms, kissing her with all the passion and relief and joy that's overwhelming both of them. "I love you," she says against his lips. "I love you so much." "I love you too, always, forever." The wedding takes place 6 months later in Napa Valley. They choose a vineyard that Olivia fell in love with during one of their weekend trips, a place of rolling hills and golden light and peace. The ceremony is intimate, family and close friends only, about 80 people in total. Sujin is the maid of honor, crying happy tears before the ceremony even starts. Yi-sun stands as best man, looking slightly uncomfortable in his formal suit, but fiercely proud. Derek Tate positions himself near the perimeter, because old habits die hard and he refuses to let the Shin family celebrate without proper security. Olivia's mother walks her down the aisle, since her father passed away when she was young. Her sister follows as a bridesmaid, dabbing at her eyes and whispering that she always knew Min-ho was the one. When Olivia appears at the end of the aisle in a simple white gown, her natural hair styled elegantly with white flowers woven through, Min-ho's composure finally cracks. Tears slip down his face as he watches her walk toward him. The officiant speaks about love and commitment, about choosing each other every day, about building a life together that honors both partners' dreams and desires. When they exchange vows, Min-ho speaks first. Olivia, I spent most of my life believing that love was a weakness. That caring too deeply for anyone gave the world a weapon to use against me. And then you walked into my sister's hospital room and smiled at me, and everything I thought I knew fell apart. He pauses, emotion thick in his voice. You are not my weakness. You are my strength. You make me brave enough to be vulnerable, confident enough to ask for help, human enough to admit when I'm wrong. I promise to love you not just in the easy moments, but in the hard ones. I promise to support your dreams as fiercely as I pursue my own. I promise to be your partner in every sense of the word, from this moment until my last breath. When it's Olivia's turn, she takes both his hands in hers. Min-ho, I ran from you because I was afraid of how much I loved you. I convinced myself that leaving was the brave thing to do. But real bravery isn't running from what scares you. It's standing still and facing it. Her voice wavers but holds steady. I promise to stand still with you. Through every challenge, every triumph, every ordinary Tuesday. I promise to tell you when I'm scared instead of running away. I promise to remember that being your partner doesn't mean losing myself, but rather becoming the best version of who I can be. I love you, Min-ho Shin. I choose you, today and every day for the rest of our lives. When the officiant pronounces them husband and wife, the small crowd erupts in applause. Min-ho pulls Olivia close and kisses her as if no one else exists. You saved me, he whispers against her lips. Long before I saved you. We saved each other, she whispers back. The reception is perfect. There's dancing and laughter and toasts that make everyone cry. Sujin gives a speech about how her brother smiled more in the 6 months after reconnecting with Olivia than in the 5 years before. Yi-sun awkwardly admits that he's glad Olivia is around because Min-ho is much easier to work with when he's not miserable. Late in the evening, after most of the guests have said their goodbyes, Olivia and Min-ho stand together at the edge of the vineyard, looking out at the moonlit hills. So, Min-ho says, wrapping his arms around her from behind, what happens now? Olivia leans back against his chest. Now we go home. We build a life together. We fight about who does the dishes and what to watch on TV. We probably have a couple of kids eventually, if you're okay with that. I'm okay with that, he says softly. And we live happily ever after. He turns her around to face him, cupping her cheek in his hand. We live happily ever after, not perfectly because nothing is perfect, but together, through whatever comes. Olivia smiles, and it's the same smile that made him fall in love with her in a hospital cafeteria years ago. I can work with that, she says. And under the stars of Napa Valley, surrounded by the life they're building together, Min-ho kisses his wife. Some love stories start with fireworks and grand gestures. Theirs started with fear and almost losing each other. But the ending is the same. They found their way home.